I think a question we always ask ourselves is like, what is cinematic? Like, what does that mean? It's like almost impossible to answer because there is no right answer. And so I want to show you why. So this is, when we look at this scene, we think that's cinematic. However, you know, it's like, it's dark, it's moody, but then we've got that Barbie. Like, I mean, we have like a crazy, like barely any ratio from like her key to her fill side, but that's still, we would consider that cinematic. You know, and then we would say, okay, so color and all this and like seeing everything, that's cinematic. Well, let's take this shot from Dune. Can barely see anything and it's black and white. Maybe we'd say, oh, it's like perfectly exposed footage. So, you know, tell Christopher Nolan that. Maybe we'd say, oh, it's soft light. Well, take the scene. If you haven't seen this movie, Saltburn, one of my favorite movies of all time, it's kind of weird, beautiful, really incredible movie. But you know, it's like maybe there's a little bit of something softening it, but that's just straight hard light shooting on them. So soft light is not the answer. If somebody was to say this is what it is, I honestly wouldn't trust them, because what cinematography is and what is cinematic is such a wide variety of things that it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different flavor, different taste of what is good. So tonight, the scene that we're going to be recreating is this scene. It's from a movie called like Elysium, I think it's pronounced. Yeah. So, and then if we have time, and I'm going to try and make it, we're going to also recreate this shot as well. And I want to show you how it's kind of like within cinematography, there's a lot of the same principles that you're going to repeat over and over again. And you're just like adjusting things and you're massaging the image. So in that shot, we had, also, we're not going to recreate this completely. Like, I'm going to show you how I would add my own flavor and how I would do this myself. So first things first is, that was a pretty tight shot. It's a little bit closer. So we're going to get about here.
For those with bad eyes, what lens are you on?
Yeah. So this is, camera-wise, what I'm shooting on, this is the Red V-Raptor X. Shooting on Dizio Kata lenses. This is a zoom lens. It's 35 to 80 on this one. I prefer primes, but still great lens. So first thing is I want to create it, with that shot, I wanted to create a nice, just top-down, soft lighting. And as you can see as of now, let's also, can we kill the lights, all those lights except for our one overhead? Within lighting, if you want to create a soft light, you want to get that light as close as possible and as big as possible relatively. So right here, this is a 6x6 magic cloth. Magic cloth is one of these cloths that it just has this beautiful look to it, and it creates incredibly beautiful soft light. And on top, we've got I think, what is that, a 600 up there? 600. And do we know what power that's at right now?
Probably 100, I think.
100%? Seems like it's probably not as. 100%? And then is that bicolor or is that just daylight?
It's RGB.
Oh, it is RGB. Okay. Can you set it to 5600? So right there, while they're adjusting that, I'll keep going. Right there, I mean, that's already like a nice, there we go, beautiful. Right there, we've already got like a nice, soft image coming from overhead. And again, with cinematography, you're trying to create a 3D look of an image in a 2D, you know, in a flat screen. So how do we do that? We create shape. We got to shape things. Back in college, I took it was like a graphic design course, and I had to, one of the things we had to do, one of the projects was create a watch, a photorealistic watch from nothing, like out of shapes. And I learned a lot about how things, you know, you have to have highlights and shadows. And so right here, so far, we've got a highlight. We've got highlights, you know, up on his forehead, nose, and then we've got some nice like shape under here. You know, some people are gonna be like, oh, I don't like the raccoon eyes. It's like, I don't agree, but whatever. Also, it depends on what you're trying to achieve with your character. Is it an evil character or is it a nice character? Who knows? So first thing I want to do is I'm going to take Sam, could you grab me one of those floppies and bring it on camera right on his left side? First thing I'm going to do is create some more shapes. So instead of just adding more light, this is something I meant to talk about earlier. A lot of people overcomplicate lighting. And they try to add more and more lights. Like let's do it on this side. My approach to cinematography is I try to keep it pretty simple, and I also want to make it look pretty realistic. So one of my favorite things to do is using a floppy, or it's called like a negative fill. Let's see, let me bring it. All right. And a negative fill is going to give us some more, let's do this actually. A negative fill is going to take away light. We've got fills and we've got negative fill. And this is going to create more contrast on our actor's face. And instead of having to blast more light, we're just going to take light away. And the reason why this is called a floppy, if you guys took Tenzin's course, you probably talked about this. Thanks, bro. Okay, then we floppy that down for me. Is it floppies? So already you can see that we're getting shape, more shape on the left side of his face. I'm just going to take it away just so you can see what. See that? Can you guys see that over there? Okay. Boom. Shape. So my go-to, if I need to, like, within a lot of narrative stuff especially, you'll see in rooms, behind camera, they just, like, it's almost like this, like the curtains, they just black everything out so that there's no light bouncing back onto their face. So my go-to is always going to be using a floppy or negative, just some sort of black material so that I can take light away and I can start to create shape. So will you look right into camera for me? We're also getting already a little bit of a catch light in his eye just from this down here. So we could, we'll wait for now for that. But the next thing I want to do, Sam, will you mind striking the 600 back there? Just pan it off for me and then strike it. And then let's pan that on. Let's get it right back on his head. Okay. And then what temperature or what power is it at?
15%.
15? Okay, will you half that for me? And then let me also have you kind of like in that, I don't know if you actually saw the image. So
No, I haven't.
okay, you're good. So yeah, you're pissed. I don't know if he's like in a fight or what, but. And I'm gonna go to, I know I changed that. I'm gonna go to a 50 and we're gonna push it. And we're gonna come down. Okay, and then what's the power on that now?
It's at 7.5.
Okay. What is so this is called a Fresnel, and Fresnels, there's a lot of different lighting modifiers. Fresnels are great because they give the look of like sunlight, kind of like a soft sunlight. And instead of having, like if you can see up there on that light, there's just a cone on that, and that's just gonna give really hard, just blasting light. This gives a feathered look on that light. So one of my favorite lights is definitely a Fresnel. If I'm pretty sure Fresnels were actually invented for lighthouses. Yeah, so that was like the original design of them. And if you've seen the movie recently, I watched the movie The Lighthouse with William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and weird movie, but great movie. And when he's up there having his relationship with the lighthouse, you see it turning, and you can really see it's interesting. You can see like the same design of a Fresnel. You can see that happening on there. So yeah, so as you can see, let's play with some stuff. So go back to the opposite direction. As you can see, it's like hardening up as we, what is that? What's the?
Yeah, 45.
45. And then at the furthest end, it was what?
15.
Okay. So you're all, you see how it's softening up as we're at 15, and then as you go back to the 45, it's giving us a harder edge along his face. Okay, now go back to 15. Just watch that as it's going. It's also, okay, so now give me like 12% on that.
12%.
Okay. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how light works. And that's one thing, if you haven't already in your cinematography career, spend some time just paying attention to what light does in the world. When a full moon is out at night, go outside and just, one of my favorite techniques is I literally will just like hold up my hand like this and I can see what light is doing. It's kind of mimicking a face. And I'll just watch what the light does. Like even right here, I can kind of see what it's doing before I even have talent there. But just go outside and just see what light does so that you can recreate it. I think that's one of the best things that Roger Deakins did growing up is he first started off as like a painter, I think, and then a photographer and then a cinematographer. And so he really has just watched and paid attention to like what light does. And that's why he's one of the greats. So from here, let's see. I'm going to pull that image back up so that we can reference it. Can you guys see that screen at all? I'm going to bring it forward a little bit. How about that? Yeah, right there maybe. So, also, by the way, I forgot to mention this. I decided I did not want to kind of practice this before so that you could see me kind of thinking through and figuring it out. So if it seems like I don't know what I'm doing, I don't. Like, so why did we come to learn from this guy? Let's go, just for the sake of color-wise, I'm just going to warm this up a little bit. Add like a little bit of... Okay. Okay, that's actually a much harder edge. So let's go back to 45 on that light. Yep. And then let's also walk it, let's go lamp left with it. Looking a little tired there, brother. So let's do this. Let's bring in, let's bring in a tube light and let's get that underneath his eyes. Let's see, I actually don't know how to, let's see, so just on. Okay, that's pretty easy. Thank you. So I'm going to dial this back to like 10% for now, because right now I'm not really trying to do much with this light. I'm really just trying to, I'm going to keep that up for now. I'm really trying, actually I'm going to come from this side. Really trying to just give some, like an eye light is what I'm trying to achieve here. And also fill in the raccoon eyes just a little bit. Okay. And then let's bring that down on intensity. So right now I'm at 4%. And then can I get some gaff tape? Right now what I'm going to do is, because this tube is so long, I'm going to put gaff on basically half of it and then just narrow it down to the center so that I can get a smaller chunk. The other thing that you could do, I don't think that they're doing this, but you could use a bounce board. And a bounce board, you've got a couple of options. You've got like a shiny board, and then you also have like it's actually over here. Let me grab this one. Actually, Sam, will you just grab it? You can just take it off for me. But because of how hard that light is in his eye and how soft the overhead is, I doubt that that is from a bounce board. But, so yeah, so just give me like, maybe like from here to here. Okay. Yeah, thank you. You said the overhead was at 100%?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions thus far? Any, also any comments? If you guys have like opinions on this image, I kind of want to craft this image with you. Yeah.
How do you, I mean, you've kind of been having them dial in percentages on lights. How do you determine how much to change the percentage?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Light, when we are talking about light, we will either, for the most part, when we're talking about stops of light, we're doubling and we're halving that light. So if that light is at 30% and I need it to come down a stop, I want to cut that power in half. So what did I say? 30%. So I want to go down to 15%. And then half of 15 is what, seven something? Yeah. So I just can say, hey, let me just cut that in half, cut that in half, cut that in half, or give me double, give me double, give me double. And that's kind of how I'll, what was your question originally?
Just how you determine what percentage you're asking them to adjust the light.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my ISO set at 800, and I will throw in a little bit of ND so that I have a little bit of wiggle room, and then from there I will get my key light set, and I just want to see where that's at. If I had my light meter and I was, I'd probably do that, and I would take some readings and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I just kind of start putting stuff together and then just, yeah.
So it sounds like you go off of feel or look instead of like more meticulous with like light
I do.
ratios and dialing things in that way.
Yeah. And I've got, I don't know if it shows it on here. No, I've got like false color on my monitor, and I can see visually with colors like what my image is doing. My favorite is called the EL zone, and unfortunately red does not have that in yet. But EL zone is basically the combination of, it's like a light meter and false color had a baby, and it's showing you colors, but it's showing you in terms of stops of light. So it'll show you middle gray, stop over, stop under, 2 stops over, under, and it's a much more, I can communicate with my gaffer, somebody be like, hey, I need to be 2 stops over with these settings, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I was having such a problem with eye lights. Or light bars to go to for you for eye lights, or what?
It depends. It depends. Let me grab something. So I have a really good buddy. His name's Sam Sargent. Really, really talented cinematographer. And I actually just did a YouTube video interview sort of thing with him. And he was talking about how he's always looking to add an eye light and making sure he's got an eye light. And so like here I've got, thank you. Here I've got, we lean back just a little bit. Thanks. I mean, there is kind of an eye light right there right now, but instead of bringing in like right now, this is not going to give me an eye light, but I want to make sure that there's always an eye light in my talent's eyes. So what I can do is just have a little something. It doesn't affect the image, and I don't need it to be that bright. Let me throw this up on the big screen. Okay, so I can just set this, like, even honestly, like you could set this on top of your matte box, and it's just given like a little something. if I need it to be just, but it's not really affecting the look of the image too much. Like, if anything, I'd maybe put it on this side just so that it's staying on like the not dark side, like on the key side, if anything. And I can just add a little touch of an eye light to him. And yeah, so like I don't need to, like, I used to think when I was younger, I had like my key light set up, and I was doing kind of a Rembrandt. I was like, oh, I need that light to be that needs to be the eye light and key. But it starts to get too far over or too high up, and you lose the eye light, and you're like, well, okay, what am I supposed to do? You can just take a little thing and just pop it in there, and you've got an eye light. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, for
Cool.
sure. Thanks.
Cool. Any other? Yeah.
So the director has like a certain LUT that they know that they're gonna end up putting on at the end. When you're doing your lighting, sometimes they have it already set up so that you're doing your lighting based off the LUT.
Yeah. If you like in any sort of like narrative or anything like that, most directors and DPs will have a LUT that they have built for that, and to give it a really specific look. And you can actually load LUTs into your camera so that you're viewing the image with a LUT. And that way, when you're in post, you can give that exact LUT to your colorist and say, here's build it around this, but this is the look that we built beforehand. And usually that colorist is the one that built the LUT, so you're working hand in hand with them from the beginning. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, Marcus.
What is your opinion on capturing what you can in camera versus doing more post work?
Always. I first off, I have a hard time seeing the image if I don't do it in camera. Like I think some people really have a great, the ability to see what it will look like without seeing it. I just can't. I need to get it as close in camera as possible. And then in post, I know I can just push it a little bit more and just enhance what I have there. But when people start doing like full on different looks, I'm like, how did you envision that? Like, that's crazy to me. So I have to do it in camera. That's my thing. Yeah. There was one other, is there one more? No, okay. Okay. Turn the tube light back on for me. Oh, okay. Sweet. Thank you. So yeah, we've got that little catch light in his eye. Now I want to play with this image a little bit, and I want to kind of create our own thing. So let's start with this. I'm going to add a little more key, and all I got to do with something like this is just take a white bounce board, and I can add a little more in there. Thank you. And I'm just going to audition this. Let me just audition this real quick. See how much of a difference that's making? Thank you. So it's like I said, it's those little things that you don't need to like do these. I was on a set. I'm not going to say who the client was. I was on a set last month down in Las Vegas, and I was acting as the gaffer. And the DP was like, yeah, we were shooting in a car outside. And he's like, I need a 1200 because I need more light like in the car. And I had a shiny board with me. And I literally was like, does that do it? And he was like, oh, great. That worked. And I was like, so, when you need to shoot something, hire a gaffer that knows what the hell they're talking about. But yeah, I can add that light in and I'm just returning from the Fresnel. I don't need to add any more light. I don't need to bring anything else in. And let's do this. I'm just going to crank my ND down. So we're just going to darken this baby up. So, now we're whoever the cinematographer was releasing him is like obviously way better than I am. So we're not going to create exactly what he did, but we're in the ballpark. Like we're starting to see similar things that he did. Let's try this as well. Let's pull this out, and I'm going to bring this as my key now. I can hold it. So, and I'll also have this act as my eye light. I'm just going to crank up the power. Okay, so now you see we've got like our eye light and also a little bit more of a key light as well. And one thing that I really like to do if I'm ever with interviews, you can do 3-point lighting in the sense of where kind of a standard 3-point lighting is you've got your key, your fill, and usually you'll put your hair light or an edge light on the opposite side of your key light. It looks great, but I personally, it doesn't look as natural. And so anytime I can keep my main key light and my edge or anything like that on the same side of somebody's face, it's gonna just feel a little bit more natural. So like, it's just we're wrapping that light and we're just bringing more of it around and continuing that look from that right side of his face. And again, we've got our eye light. So, yeah, I mean, I would say this is probably pretty close to where I might end, like where I would probably finish this look. Again, this is just a really small part of what makes an overall cinematic image is the lighting. Like we would have sweat on his face like we did with, Matt Damon, right? That's, yeah. I always get Matt Damon and who's the other actor? Yeah. I'm always like, who the hell is that? Like, is it the Bourne guy or is it Daddy's Home guy? Matt Damon's Bourne, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just had to make sure I didn't sound like an idiot. Okay, it's Matt Wolf. Yeah. Any questions? Any comments on this look? Yeah.
Are you gonna put the hint of an edge on the right side?
Yeah. Let's put a little hint on. Let me throw this back on. We'll keep that as our. And then Sid, could you bring that bounce back in? And then yeah. So let's throw in a. Let's throw this guy in there. Let's go that side back where it was at. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to dial this back. I'm at 1% there. All right, so there's 10%. And I don't know. Let's keep it like warmer, yeah? Just barely out of frame, just adding a little bit there. Now let's do this. Let's kill that the Fresnel, the 600 or whatever that is. Okay. So what we can do, since we have this overhead lighting, we could even bounce some light. So pull back a little bit, Sid, so you're getting some more of that light on there. Yeah, right there is good. And again, now we've got just like a totally different look. Oh, damn it. I haven't been recording on my, shoot, that's right. Dang. Yeah, so I mean, now we've got like another image. Like again, same kind of principles and just like a different look. We could even, let's just totally take out the bounce. Let's just go straight overhead. And now we've got like a really sinister look, like we could even kill the this light. And again, some people are like, oh, you always have to have an eye light. I'm like, well, okay, what is the story? What's the character? And is this character a bad person or like they literally possessed by a demon? Because maybe we don't want them to look like they have life. Maybe we want him to look dead and like lifeless. And so having an eye light is going to, the lack of an eye light is going to make him feel a little more lifeless. For any commercial work, you probably won't want that. Your client probably won't be happy. So just warned you. Yeah. Another thing that I would maybe say here is lighting is meant to be motivated. And so I don't know. I can't remember exactly that scene with Matt Damon there. Like that light underneath is maybe just like coming from, I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, oh, we just need an eye light. But if let's just say he is sitting at I don't know, some sort of a console that like buttons or something on it, we could add this little light underneath to give like, oh, that's coming from the console. And in real life, the console might even be just lighting up his eyes and we don't even need to add anything in. But light is meant to be motivated. It's meant to be part of the story. And if it's not serving the story and if it's not feeling like it's motivated from something, it can really take your viewers out of the entire story or in the image. And it just doesn't look good. Like like I said earlier, like cinematography and cinematic, what a cinematic can be, whatever you want. But maybe that's the one caveat. If it's not motivated, like it's not as good. We'll say that. Any comments or questions on this one? On this, yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, speaking of like motivated light, I did like in like the Matt Damon image, talking about when he had the Fresnel kicked up.
Yeah.
I noticed it was like in that particular image too, there was a like bloom that they had just in that subtle corner.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, is that a light? Is that a window?
Sure. Yeah.
And like adds that motivation, which is definitely.
Yeah. And that could have been, maybe some diffusion on the front of the camera, or they probably had a little bit of haze in the room, and so it was just kind of blooming the haze as well. But yeah, that kind of stuff, when you have that natural light bloom, oh, it just looks gorgeous. Yeah.
Well, I'm very curious, on that image too with Matt Damon, it was really interesting because you have the kind of somewhat harder edge light only on his face.
Yeah.
It wasn't falling off onto his shoulder, so it was really done in a very interesting way, so I was curious how you.
Yeah. Will you kick that back on? I mean, I guess it is still on his shoulder, but it's just not. Maybe it's just because he has a shirt on. It's not. What was it?
It was the right side of, sorry, left, right, his left side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it almost looked like maybe it was a small whiteboard balance or something, bouncing off of.
Yeah, it's like just the chin.
Yeah, it was just the edge of his face. And it didn't get the rest of his body. So that's why I was curious how you.
On his left side. What was I doing earlier? Sorry. Oh, in the reference image. Oh. Let's just plug this back in. Let's just take a look at that again. Nope. Side. Oh yeah. So you're saying the fact that it's, oh, just like this little subtle thing here? Yeah. So I don't know. Let's. Where are we at on time, by the way? Okay. Okay. 48. Okay. So let's do this. Let's give just like a tiny bit of that. It's kind of a blue. You can just really knock it down. We'll back it up. No, we definitely got a much darker. Okay, go ahead and look into the lens for me. And the lens, sorry. And let's kill this. And then let me have you back up a foot. Keep going. Yeah. And then let's bring that bounce board back in. So yeah, let me, oh, come on. Okay, and then just bring that right up here for me. So we're kind of getting like a, Is that, well, let me plug the computer back in. Or also, it's funny whenever you start like paying attention to what the reference image is, I'm like, damn, that doesn't really actually look that close.
Does it seem like maybe the Fresnel's a little bit more behind him, because the other ear had that behind, had that glowing, like his light shining through, like that side up, like
Yeah, maybe. Let's do this. Let me just have you physically move your body. Okay, so were you saying that their light was getting on his left shoulder? Is that what you were saying?
No, so there's shallow depth of field on the shoulder, and you don't really see any sort of light before it becomes refracted.
Oh, I see.
But right on the left side of his temple down to his jaw, and I think someone mentioned it over here. I think it's because of the sweat and moisture. There's just a
Oh, just more.
daylight bounce.
Sure,
It looks like.
sure.
That hint of detail, like,
Yeah.
really shaped that side for me. So I was just kind of obsessed with that.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, the
Have to spend more time.
no, yeah. It's like I said, it's fun to just kind of like play with things, and I don't get to do this as often of like just playing with an image, but yeah.
Do you think that your top light might be a little harder in the reference image?
There's definitely a good chance. It could be either further away or just a thinner diffusion. Yeah, maybe like a half grid. It's definitely still like pretty soft, honestly. Yeah, it's pretty soft. I wonder as well if the if you guys can see that. It does look like it's probably coming from a little, well, yeah, maybe like a little bit more left of his face. Let's do this one more adjustment and then we'll move on to that next image. You had one over here, yeah?
Yeah, I was curious, where does the image sit as far as levels? I mean, you can see, the projector, the longer one looks more exposed than the other. So are you looking at, your histogram? Where does the image sit, and what's safe and not safe?
Sure. Whenever you're shooting 16-bit RAW, you definitely got a lot more flexibility. But so right now I've got my false color. This is called what's Red's term for it? Oh, I'm forgetting what it's called. But this is Red's false color. And right now, so right under middle gray, I've got the green, and that's where, or no, I'm sorry. Hold on. What's we got? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, right on here we've got. So the green is telling me I'm maybe about a stop under middle gray. Middle gray is your proper exposure, and then that pink is about a stop over middle gray, maybe half stop over, and that's how I know I'm like darker, like I'm under middle gray, but I'm still like exposed. If I was exposing like perfectly or more like that green would be something that usually you would want like darker skin tones to sit at. And if I was like having a proper key with a light skin, that whole right side of his face would be at the pink.
So if you weren't using false color, like in IRE or other.
Yeah, I mean, IRE is kind of hard. Like false color in IRE is kind of hard unless you have it calibrated. Like it's not really giving you where everything's at. It's just basically telling you like this isn't peaking and it's not underexposed. That's why, I don't know if you hear I was talking about the EL zone. I really like the EL zone because it actually shows me like, okay, this is a stop. It's based off the zone system. Yeah, so it's like really, the guy, Ed Lockman, he's a cinematographer. He created the EL zone, and it's game changing. Like, it really is one of my favorite things, but it really shows me where things are properly at more. Yeah, and I'm excited for the day that they have it in red. It's annoying.
Camera, are you still still padding it on your highlights and shadows so you can later.
Yeah. And like on red, there's like your histogram, and there's also on each side, it's called the stoplights. There's a red, green, and blue. And if it's on the right side of the histogram and you've got any of those, it means that you're peaking, that maybe some of your days lost on that end. And on the other side, that it's crushed. And so if I'm like not super sure, I will just be like, okay, let me just give like a healthy image. Like that's your job as a cinematographer, is to give like a healthy image. Like all the data's there. And so I'll just be like, okay, nothing's overexposed, nothing's underexposed, over and under. I know that the information's there, and then in post, I can push it if I need to. So, but again, like I said, I want to get it as close in camera as I can. So, yeah, to answer your question, cool. Was there, yeah.
Sorry, I was just wondering. So we're students at the U, and I was
Oh, cool.
saying to somebody the other day, we never use top lighting here. Like, I was just thinking that they're like, none of our projects we use top lighting. We're not really taught to. I don't know if we quite have the proper equipment, but
Sure.
I was just wondering, like, how often is top lighting your go-to?
Definitely rare.
It's rare.
It's rare. Yeah. I mean, wish, I feel like top lighting's a little more narrative. And I do mostly commercials. That's what my main workhorse is. I usually am going to be going for something more sidey. That's it just creates a lot of beautiful shape. And maybe what we can do here in a second is bring this around and kind of show some of that as well. But I love top lighting. I think it's beautiful. Like you get a lot of it's a very natural look. I feel like a lot of our life is top light. Like hard top light doesn't always look great. Again, it depends on the story, but like soft toppy light feels amazing. And then I feel like you add a little bit like this just to get a little more contrast on the face, and now you're kind of shaping it like it's going, light, and then you've got this dark on the other side. So you're still creating that shape on the face.
Do you say it's more narrative because it's less stylized, or like actors can like move around more freely? Or?
Yeah, and it is doing more movement. I wouldn't say it flatters the film as much. I mean, it's like if you think of anything that really has like a lot of top light, it seems like in stuff it's something more serious. And most commercials are not going to be super serious unless you're like a Super Bowl commercial and it's like freaking Tom Brady in every single commercial. And he's just talking about another serious thing or something, or it's Post Malone and Shane Gillis, and they're just jacking around. So, yeah, Marcus.
When you're exposing an image, are you going talent first, then mid-ground, background, or you jumble right out because it's there?
Like there's that old saying, light space is not faces, and that's definitely very true. Like I want to make sure that my space is well lit, and once you get your space lit, it's pretty easy to light your talent. A lot of times, a lot of what I do is I could pull it up, but I am going to be putting, kind of the go-to look, at least for me recently, is I'm taking like a 1200D or something, putting it outside of a window, putting some shears up, blasting that light through. It's going to give some nice sidey light already, and then it's going to add some texture to the background. And that's lighting my whole space. Like now I have like this really nice foundation of an image. And then from there, I can easily, a lot of times, like those shears are honestly doing the trick. If anything, I could bring in like a little F22C, like a little, what are those, like 2x, and just get a little bit more kick on my talent's face, depending on what they're doing. But yeah, I guess like with a lot of, like you're saying with narrative stuff, like it's hard to totally light like a face because you want them to have movement and interact. And a lot of commercial stuff, it's very stagnant, at least if it's just talking, right into camera. So you can get that light right up there, get a nice locked off shot, and it looks amazing. But yeah, I would probably light my space first and then move into my talent. Yeah.
When you say light your space as well, are you also like exposing to things that you can't control, like if you're on vacation in a house?
Oh yeah.
It's 3 in the afternoon and you're just having some
Yeah.
blasting on the window.
Yeah, I mean, God, I wish I just had awesome budgets all the time to just, put up some massive lights and control everything. But yeah, there's, for that Kizik shoot, it was very run and gun, and I had to rely on the sun for a lot of things. And there was at one point we got way too late in the evening. We didn't realize that daylight savings was happening, and it totally fucked our schedule. And when we were supposed to be shooting these scenes, we get there, and I'm like, oh no, it's daylight savings. Like, our sun is gone at this time. So there was one scene where I thought we were going to have plenty of light, and I was just going to add a 1200 in the background just to kind of give some light coming through the back window. And it was just way too dark, and we flew out there, and we had a really small grip package, and so I was like, we don't have the gear to be able to do this. So we waited until the next morning. I used, if you guys don't have it already, there's an app called Sunseeker app, and it gives you the ability to see where the sun's going to be at a certain time. And so I told the director, I said, okay, here's what we need to do. We're going to come back tomorrow morning at this exact time, and I mapped out where it was going to be. I said, that light is going to be coming through that back window, and it's going to look beautiful. Let's come back. Let's bite the bullet. Let's pay our talent again to come back, because I was my bad. And she came back, and it looked incredible. It was coming through the back window. It just looked awesome. And then I added just a little light to just wrap that light around, give her a little bit of a key, and it filled the room with some haze, and it looked insane. So yeah, and then I exposed for that. I got that exposure right. And again, thankfully with 16-bit RAW, you've got a lot of flexibility. The highlights on this really bloom nicely, and the fall off is really nice. And so that hard light coming through just looked gorgeous. So yeah, you just got to sometimes work with what you got. So, any other questions? Yeah.
Sorry. I know it's like hard to clip on like a capable camera, but if you're stuck on like a Blackmagic with like 11-ish stops of dynamic range, as a cinematographer, like when are you willing to like clip an image, whether it's like highlights or black?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Man, it's like such a case by case scenario, I would say things like light bulbs, things like maybe windows. If you can put something like some shears over them, just so that it's not this hard piece of light. It's not just like hard edges. Those shears will bloom it out. And then if you can have some diffusion filter, let me just show you guys like what this diffusion filter. So let's just go right there, and then let me take this diffusion out. So there's with it in. You can see that okay? I'm gonna try not to freaking break this thing. See how much of a difference that makes? These diffusion filters will just give you that bloom that this would still look like that even on like a Blackmagic or something else with 11 stops of dynamic range. Like it would help with that, so that like, I mean, I'm not overexposed by any means there, but let's do this. Let's take out, will you hold that for a second?
So lightweight.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm still not peaking. Let's go, actually, let me hold this, Sam. Will you crank that up to like 100%? Okay, that's good there. Still not peaking. That's okay. So let me just show you again. So it can just take that edge off. Where's my... Just, it's like if it's bloomed out, like overexposed stuff doesn't look terrible, truthfully. Like, there's a lot of examples of images where if you really pay attention, there's like things that are like overexposed, but because again, the highlight roll off and even just it's bloomed out, I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. Like, I'll take it. Like, again, there's times as a cinematographer where you're just like, we don't have the time and we just got to move on. So do with the best you can. And, yeah, so, yeah, see, like we're peaking a little bit there on his skin. So okay, like just an example, like Not saying that this is like great, but like it looks kind of cinematic. Like you look like an angel. So yeah, just an example. Where are we at on time?
7:00.
Okay, how much time do I have left? Okay, we got 15 more minutes. Let's do this. I want to move on to that second image because I think it's fun. So let's Sam, if you'll kill that, and I actually am gonna have you out. Let's have Sam in so that we can have some long hair. Okay, so this image, let's pull it up so that we have a reference. So first thing that I'm obviously going to notice is these side lights. So let's, will you take it's definitely, the tubes are going to work, but it's probably something harder. It's probably a harder light with how hard this edge is here, but let's try it. So let's put one on each side of her. Probably, no, not that far back, probably about here. And then on the overhead light, can I get that set to, let's start at 50% for now and give me like something really cool. Like, I don't know how far on color temp it can go, but like 8,000 or something like that. On this light, on these lights, let's go. Yeah, these lights are definitely going to be. That's right. We'll make do. Let's go to 50%. Let's do 100% on these guys. And then let's go down to 30. Let's go down to 2,500. Okay, I'm going to go back to camera. Ooh. Okay, so that's doing the trick for the most part. Let me just balance out my camera. Also, if you guys have never used a Sackler, highly recommend it. It's amazing. Let's take this out. Okay. So, where are we at? For now, will you kill overhead completely? Let's just see where this is living. Honestly, I mean, it's like, just buy it like that. Here's the thing with cinematography, and especially with narrative stuff, it's like, sometimes simple is better. Like, just keep it freaking simple. Like, I would 100% buy something like this, and I'd probably be totally happy, truthfully. Like, it looks awesome. Let's push that light a little bit further, and I'll just keep walking it in until I say woof. Sorry, this way. Woof is like this universal thing. Keep going. Woof. And now back it up. Go back that way with it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Woof. Now, same thing on the other one. Just kind of match that. Woof is like this universal language that if you're talking to your gal or grip and you're doing something, you say woof, they just like know to stop. So, okay, and then go lamp left with it. Just get that out of frame. Keep going. Yeah. It kind of added like a nice bloom and stuff. Okay, so now give me the overhead light again, and let's start at like 10%. What was the color temp on it? Okay, let's actually, you said these are RGB, right? Let's go HSI and give me like blue, real blue. And then let's also, will you grab me another C stand? Let's see if we can get something. We'll go HSI here as well. No, HSI, there we go. Nope, that was intensity. I have a coworker that is colorblind, and I don't know how the hell he does this stuff. He has like really special scopes and stuff for DaVinci that he can to be able to see things. It's crazy. Is that blue?
No, it's solo.
Oh, I was like, maybe I'm colorblind. There we go. Yeah. All right. So, and then what was this percentage at on that? Okay, give me 40%. Okay, arm that out. Give me that right there. Okay, and then just rotate this. Okay, and then yeah, let me get this in place and then bag it. So yeah, something like there maybe. Go ahead and bag that. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that's a little purpley. Let's, it's one of the hard things. I feel like the way that colors render sometimes can be really tricky. There we go, that's feeling a little more. Okay, and now I'm gonna dial this back. Nope, we're going the wrong way.
You have a preference on bars or tubes?
I kind of like tubes more, truthfully. Yeah, like I have a couple of the Nanlite Pavo tubes. Kind of like Pavo tubes a little bit more. I don't know. The Infinity bars they're nice. I don't know. There's something about tubes. They feel a little more natural than the bars. I don't know. Yeah, just like because it's got that curve to it, it just feels like it just spreads it a little bit more. I'm sure there's an attachment that you could probably do that with, but yeah, I mean, so again, I'm not whoever the cinematographer was for that shot is like way better than I am, but like it's in that ballpark of we're shaping that light, we're getting some we're shaping it. We're just adding some, and then let's do this. Let's actually bring those tubes out. It's not on her nose like it was in that shot. So let's keep her coming. It's probably going to be pretty dang wide, honestly. Yeah, I'm just going to stay looking into the lens for me. Okay, so now we're getting there. Some stuff on her. And then let's do this. Let's go up on sticks so it's coming up from a little bit higher. Let me play with this a little bit. Bring this around. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, I mean, let me just kill this just to see what. I honestly would probably take it like that, truthfully. And then, just so that we have a little something, I'm going to set this to 25, oh, no, 10%, Okay, it just goes to 32. And now we've just got like the tiniest little eye light just to give her some life in there. And like I said, it's just one of these little pucks. It's like an MC puck. So if I needed to, I could just boop, sit it on top of camera, and she's just got a little something in there. So, any questions here? Any opinions? How was it?
Out of curiosity, just when working with like colored lights,
Yeah.
I know like in the past on not as nice cameras that I've used, they're like reds and like harsh like blues, like destroy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like, how do you find that balance and know like, we are going with this color?
Let's. Oh, dude, and then just kill that light for me.
I feel like I've toasted.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's definitely going to be one of those things where it's got to be just the color rendition and that raw footage. But I know what you're talking about. Like anytime I've shot on like I personally own an FX6 and blue, just like I'm like, oh God, what the, like it's crazy what it does. Let's see what the hell this does. Opa. Oh, this is kind of fun. Okay, so blue. I mean, it's probably going to handle it. It's a red, so it should be fine, but let's see. Okay, so that's kind of purple.
What's your white balance on the camera that you're working with?
Yeah, right now it's 6200. Usually I'll set it to like, usually if I'm doing colored stuff, I'll have it at 56. That's seems from my experience, it seems like that's like that safe middle of the ground. Okay, let's just go like full blue. So yeah, no, that's okay. I'm gonna play with it. So yeah, I mean, it's like that's handling it, but there's definitely certain colors that just wreck certain sensors. Like I would hope that a red should be able to handle it, but yeah. Let's give him some Euphoria vibes.
Yeah, I had shot like some live performance, some band stuff, for example, on a FS5.
Okay.
And that was just
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
well, just kind of push more contrast where I could find it
Yeah.
in places.
There was a commercial I did pretty recently. It was for this this bed that it was like a red light therapy bed. It had a bunch of other stuff in it, and it was so bright. And like, thankfully, like the FX6, you'd be shocked. Like it can handle. It's pretty damn good. Like in post, when I pulled it in, I was like, oh no, I screwed up. Like it was bad. And thankfully, like I was able to retain a lot of it and had to do a lot in DaVinci. But yeah, red, just especially red. Let's see what red does. It's usually what, like 0? No, come on, that's touchy. Like I said, it should. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, this is a good example. Like red is very interesting because even though it should handle it well, I mean, it starts to kind of wash things out. And I think at that point, you just got to play with the exposure to get it right. But like, yeah, there's something about red. Red does weird things. So I guess there was one more question. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering how.
Yeah, so my favorite filter that I've been working with recently has been the Prism Lens FX Dream filter. Really been enjoying it. One of my other favorites is it's from Element Filters. It's called the Opaline. It has a mixture. It's mostly like glimmer glass because like some of the most popular ones, it's like black pro mist. Black Promise is nice, but it really lifts your shadows. And I'm more of a crunchy, kind of really contrasty type of person. So Glimmer Glass, it like still blooms things out, but it doesn't really lift those shadows as much. But the Opaline has like a titch of Black Promise in it. So it will lift it just a hair, but really keep that contrast there. And it softens the face and stuff, softens the image. That's kind of my go-to. I personally don't think that anybody should ever buy like a Tiffin filter. They're way overpriced, not that great. There's so many more amazing filters that are coming out nowadays, and everybody and their mother's coming out with a filter nowadays, but they're way cheaper. They're way cheaper than Tiffin. So I'd look into Opaline element filters, and I would also look into Prism Lens Effects. Those are some of my favorite ones. Way cheaper. Like you're gonna still be like, wow, that's not cheap, but like compared to a Tiffin, it's like a third of the price. Last thing I want to do with yeah.
So I know it's like the dreaded, you never want to try to see how kind of manipulate it in post, but if you're just solo and you know that maybe your camera can't handle such a strong saturation, can you do it a little lighter, and then maybe in post you can use the DCL or DCTL to boost the saturation so that you can kind of get away with not having it so good?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, like something like this. Let's see. Problem is that, like, I mean, I just desaturated it to 50% and now it's looking orange. So, I mean, if anything, I would play with exposure more than, I mean, it's saturation and exposure, they really do kind of go hand in hand, but like, I would play with the exposure first when working with colored lights. Yeah, I would probably, I would do that first before bringing my saturation down too much. Again, it depends on how much of a saturated look you want, but I would probably do that first. So, last thing I just want to briefly touch on is, like I said, when it comes to lighting, cinematic lighting, it's about creating shape. And a test that I would like for you guys to do, you could literally even do this with yourself, but just, like I said, go out and look at what light does, but also just take a light and really just start to play with, hold on, I don't like the red. Let's go back to blue, or like a teal. Yeah. I like teal a lot. I love teal. Just play with different things. Play with, like right now, I've got the bar at a little bit of an angle that is magnetic. And I'm just giving some wrap around her face. And then let's just go like the opposite way and see what that does. You know, now we're coming here. If I'm just like straight overhead, let's just go straight down the barrel with it. Like there's so many, light's amazing. Light is just absolutely amazing. It's amazing what it does. It's amazing how it affects our everyday lives, but we don't notice it. And I think as cinematographers as well, we need to light things in a way that, again, motivated light that doesn't pull the audience out. Like it's going to pull us filmmakers out because we're like, oh my God, the lighting's beautiful. But like the average person that should be watching that and just be like, not even paying attention to the light because it is bringing them into the world that commercial is, or that short film, or that narrative, feature length film. And that light just needs to enhance the story and benefit the story. So play with light, see how it affects your talent. I mean, you could just have something kind of silhouetted. That's not silhouetted, but you know what I mean. Like just edged out, really dark. I mean, like that right there, I think that's fun. That's a cool look as well. But there's so much to light, and I hope that this was informative in some way for you guys. I really hope that tonight you were able to learn a little something. Play with lights. If you have any questions in the future, hit me up on Instagram, and I'm more than happy to answer questions and help people out. That's like my favorite thing to do. But is there any Any more questions? We'll probably do a little bit more of a Q&A, but okay. Yeah.
So the highlight, you said for commercials, you use the highlight more than maybe an area. But is that just to kind of fill out the face more or get the glimmer in the eye?
Mostly just to get that glimmer of the eye. Yeah, I mean, you could use it if you needed it to act as like a little bit of a fill. You totally could. Like, let's just say, that's not bright at all. Okay, so let's just say we've got this really hard overhead, and I'm just gonna pan this even more this way. Okay, so if I needed just an highlight, let's take that away as well. If I needed just an highlight, I would probably just do something like that. It's given just like the tiniest little, and it also, I mean, it does bring up, see under the chin. It's bringing some things up. It's kind of almost inevitable when you're that under, not when you're just sitting that exposure. But if you needed it to, I mean, you could use it as also a fill light and bringing it from here or just something right here. But if I just needed an highlight, let's just bring it back to 10%. Oh, come on, dude. Okay, 10%. Just a little something. It's not really affecting, I mean, you're getting like, again, a little bit under the chin, but not much. Just barely a little titch of it. But I'm still getting that highlight. So again, like you can have things act in for multiple things, or you can kind of separate things out. If I wanted to add more fill, then I could bring in, if I wanted to keep that highlight, but I don't want this to act. If I wanted this to act as a fill and not an highlight, I could just bring it like way down here. It's still giving her a little bit of an highlight, but or just bring in a bounce board and just stick it underneath just to bring up those shadows a little bit.
Do you ever like just toss a light like 20 feet back from like 10% and just try to get like the reflection from the inside of the eye?
Not usually. I prefer, and from most of my buddies that I've talked with that are more advanced than I am, yeah, it's usually, and I've seen on like BTS of big stuff, like it's literally like just something really close, or they'll have like a little 1x1 panel like right back here, really low, nothing crazy. But the further back you're gonna get as well, it's you're gonna have to increase intensity, which means you're gonna probably fill in more of your background. If you don't want that, then you're gonna be dealing with that. Light is gonna get harder as you get further away. So when you've got just like a little thing, this has a little bit of diffusion on it, you've got it this close, it's at 8% right now. That's not gonna affect my overall image, but it's gonna give me what I need for that highlight. Yeah. What else? Anybody else? We're probably like super over on time, but I'll just end with this. I appreciate you guys being here. Really hope that I'm excited for wherever you're at on your filmmaking journey. I hope that you've enjoyed it thus far. It's the best career, in my opinion, to have. We get to create art on a regular basis, and don't be worried whenever everything you're working on is not like the best in the world, because especially if you need to pay the bills, like not everything's like sexy, so that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I just worked on a project today that I was like, ooh, that's okay. Not gonna put that in the portfolio, but it's, we at least get to do what we love to do most of the time. There's a lot of people in this world that don't get to do what they love ever. Maybe 98% of the time doing something. And so grateful for you guys being here. Proud of you for wanting to increase your skills as cinematographers. Again, I've been doing this for 10 years and I feel like I've just barely got a tiny little bit of a grasp on this stuff. So wherever you're at in your cinematography journey, your filmmaking journey, whatever it is that you're doing within film, keep going and just know that it will always work out, and you're gonna be okay. So thanks guys for coming.
Thank you.